The power of the mind.
Realizing how powerful our minds actually are.
This is yours.
See yourself as high as you possibly can see yourself.
Everything comes from the imagination.
The only way really was, in order to be happy, is to create my own world.
You know, I had to convince myself that I'm gonna make it.
If you can't visualize winning, then you will not win.
And if you begin to think of yourself as the master of your own destiny.
Since I was 14, this is who I am. This is who I'm going to be. I'm Kentucky. This is the guy.
People say it's like 90% mental, 10% physical. I just think it's 100% mental.
If I can see it, then it must be a reality.
If you visualize before, you will be more prepared.
In order to paint a bright future for yourself, you have to be able to see it in your mind. You have to believe in it.
And whatever I see in my mind, I can make happen. So what I'm living in is my dream.
We live in a mental universe. All causation is mental. If you wish to change your universe, you have to change your mentality.
If you can see it here, and you have the courage enough to speak it, it will happen.
And he would say, this is the greatest toy ever created. Here lies the secret of all happiness.
So your brain doesn't really know the difference between, say that again?
Between something that happened in real life or something that you strongly visualize.
Clarify and define your vision for yourself in the highest possible way that you can see it. Be as specific and see yourself as high as you possibly can, right? That's your first job, is to see it as high as you can see it. Be delusional even, to the point where to where your mind, right at the apex of what your mind believes is possible, maybe push past that even a little bit and define it.
And everything originates in the mind. You know, the idea is what inspires the opportunity for you to get up and pursue a business. The inspiration that you observe and you think about, you know, when you observe an athlete win, and that inspires you to endeavor and work hard and become an athlete yourself. Everything originates in the mind.
So I want you to think about a goal or something that is just wildly in your dreams, right? A place where your deepest desires can become a reality. So I want to talk to that part of your mind, that where you believe it's possible. And the power I'm talking about, obviously, is the power of visualization.
A person's successful if they know where they are, and they know where they're going, and they're progressively moving in that direction. He said that success was the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Anyone that has a goal, and they're moving towards it, they're successful.
You become what you think about. You become what you think about. And since the only thing that you can control is your thinking, if you change what you are thinking about, you will begin to change your reality. If you change what you expect, you change what you believe, you change your dominant thoughts, you change your inner workings, you begin to attract into your life people, circumstances, events, opportunities, and everything consistent with your new thoughts. The reason people are unsuccessful is they think thoughts of unsuccess or failure.
No outsiders. It was isolation. It was visualization. It was motivation, and it was dedication. There was nothing else going on in my life.
Both of them together, when you had the vision and you're able to manifest, but then you also put the work in, magic happens, man. Magic, that's where the magic is. We're blessed that we can dream.
Important it is to look at yourself in a high regard and to believe in yourself. In order to paint a bright future for yourself, you have to be able to see it in your mind. You have to believe in it, and the more you believe in it, you know, the more your world will start to change.
Remember, every dream realized started in someone's imagination. It started in their mind. And with consistent practice and faith, visualization will become your bridge between where you are now and where you desire to be. See it, feel it, and then believe in it.
How is it going to feel when your dreams become a reality? Go there. You go there, whatever it is.
If you can get a mental image of the person you would most like to become, begin now to act as that person would act in everything you do. gradually, imperceptibly, you will actually become that person. It goes back to what the great German poet and philosopher Goethe once said. Before you can do something, you must first be something. Before you can do what you would most like to do, you must first become the person who can do it.
And the average person, because we're programmed not to win, 99% of us are, we don't think anyone can. So when someone does, it's amazing. But it's just a program. As soon as you're born, you know, I've said this before, you don't know about fear or what to be scared of until someone tells you what to be scared of. And a lot of what people tell you to be scared of is to actually be successful and dream and be independent and be on your own.
Most people don't focus on their mindset. Most people are focused on exterior factors. They think that everything that happens to them is by chance. And they don't realize that a lot of the things that happen to them are things that they attract. Because you attract the things that you are, and you are what you do, and you do what you think about. So it's all a cyclical loop. Most people don't understand the power of the mind. That's why they haven't tapped into the power of the mind. And the power of the mind is one very simple thing: the ability to direct your attention towards a specific given objective, and then to have the willpower to pursue it.
Discipline your thoughts. Stop thinking too much. Don't go into the past. Don't go into the future. Be in the present. Why? Because only then it's possible that the mind is free, the capacity is free, and now you can completely immerse into whatever you are doing. And this means you have arrived.
Ask yourself, can I be defined by a vision of the future instead of the memories of the past? What do I want in my life? And take the time to answer the question. As you begin to contemplate and think about the answer to the question, you're changing your brain. When you make your brain fire in new sequences and new patterns and new combinations, that's the beginning steps of changing your mind.
Believe it. You know what I mean? Like see it all the time and believe it. See yourself as high as you possibly can. Define that. Work towards it. And the world will fill in the rest.
In that moment, if you can convince yourself that feeling is so insanely good, then you would be willing to pay the price that the man needed for your big dreams to become a reality. But if you can't sell yourself on that feeling worth experiencing, you're gonna be in this camp. But if you can, you're gonna be in this camp. By the way, this camp is not that busy. This camp is busy with a lot of different people who did not want to answer that question, and they don't want to meet those demands. So for you, how's it gonna feel?
For me, the vision became a reality, so it was only then a matter of following through with the work, but it was pleasure.
Yeah.
See, that is the great thing. When you go to work and you know exactly why you're working, then it becomes fun.
The best piece of advice that I ever received is that you are what you think about. Everything that you think about, you become. You become what you think about. Thoughts lead to actions. Actions lead to behaviors. Behaviors leads to lifestyle. Lifestyle determines your destiny. So everything begins in the mind. If you can control and wield your mind, you can very much determine your destiny.
So you want to be normal. So you just want to be like everybody else that roams the world, not knowing the power that's in them, being fine with being mediocre.
Your dreams are the most powerful thing. Without a dream, there's, again, no point in being here. And we are lost without dreams. So find the time on a daily basis to dream and pursue your dream, whatever that looks like. Be on the pursuit of your dream.
I really believe that you have to seek the love and the beauty that you want in what you have now. Because that way you're training yourself to extract meaning right now, which means in the short term, if you can fill that role with meaning, and your true passion and what's coming from you, then that's going to lead you to discovering the power of it.
Because life is essentially tragic in its fundamental essence, you need a sustaining meaning that's deep and profound, and deep and profound enough to get you through bad times, because there will be very bad times in your life. There'll be death, and there'll be illness, and there'll be disappointment of all sorts. And there'll be just the standard difficulties of life in the world to contend with. And you really must have something that's profound and powerful to set up against that. And I think that your voluntary adoption of the struggle to improve being is the proper antidote to that.
Have to understand the fundamental truth of this life. You can always make a different decision, which will lead to a different outcome.
Success is not how much money or how much power you have. Success is how well do you do what you do when no one else is looking and keep on doing it. Successful people do all the things unsuccessful people don't want to do.
So you've got to be realistically humble. You've got to be ambitious enough in your goals so that you're pursuing something that you regard as truly meaningful and worthwhile. So you want your goals to be of sufficient nobility so that you can live with yourself properly if you're pursuing them, but you want them to be small enough so that you have a reasonable probability of implementing them.
Life outside of that one area, most of us are worried about suffering. We're afraid of it. When we're suffering and sacrificing, we wonder whether it's worth it. We wonder whether we're supposed to. We wonder whether sacrifice or setbacks or suffering is a sign it's not our real dream, don't we? And your body is a metaphor for the rest of your life, but the rest of our life, every time we sweat, every time we sacrifice, every time we suffer, we don't do what we do at the gym. We start saying, well, wait a minute, maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this. Maybe I'm not cut out. Maybe it's not my destiny. Maybe I just can't do it.
You've got to remember that any challenge we're facing today, we've faced it before as humanity. Changing the stories we tell ourselves, we can either look at challenging situations as opportunities for growth, as an opportunity to learn, as an opportunity to change, be the change, or we can look at them and really feel down. Now, that second part is okay. We can even feel like that, right? But we have to recognize it's not permanent. We've got to accept that none of our feelings are permanent. They don't need to be permanent, it's a choice. But recognize that those feelings are not permanent, and it will be amazing when we realize we are seeds, right? That is the most powerful way of finding strength.
You get hungry by finding something that's you. I believe that all of us are born unique, but most of us die copies. And so the key to that hunger-driven life is a heart-centered life. I didn't do what I'm doing for years because of my programming, because of the culture in which I was raised in. That you have to work on yourself, and you have to have an unstoppable attitude, and no excuse is acceptable, and you've got to make it a priority, a non-negotiable in your life, and hold a constant vision of what it is you want to achieve. See it accomplished, and go all out. Find a way to win.
You're always up and down. It's like your energy levels will go up and down and you'll be exhausted. Everything is tied around a story of this is bad, this is wrong, I'm in a bad place, I'm messing up, I'm going broke. That energy is going to pull you away from service or creation or creativity of how do I get out of this place.
Assuming that you have a certain intrinsic value, it's necessary for that value to manifest itself, for you to push yourself against the world, to challenge yourself. Otherwise, what you're capable of won't manifest itself. It has to be developed. It has to be called forth by necessity, right? You have to pick a hard problem and try to solve it and push yourself against it in order for, and you have to try to do that truthfully and responsibly in order for what it is that you're intrinsically capable of and composed of to come to the forefront. Encourage people to be responsible for themselves and for other people, and also to point out that you have a moral responsibility to do so for yourself just as you do for others.
There's a gap between the world and the things that trigger you and your response. And your entire life is that gap. And when you start to understand that your whole life plays out in this 5-second gap, and that there's a gap that's 5 seconds long between fear and courage, and there's a gap that's 5 seconds long between self-doubt and confidence. That is your life. And what's super cool about understanding that your whole life is inside this gap is it's so small, everybody, that you have the ability to control it. Life's always gonna throw triggers at you, and there will always be all kinds of cool things that inspire you, your wisdom, and you get to choose what happens in that gap. Do you succumb to an excuse, or do you push yourself forward? And so that gap is everywhere, and it's the same everywhere. And when you start to go to work in controlling how you live in that gap between stimulus or idea and your response, that's where the magic is.
Most of you guys focus on all of the things that you can see. A visionary, specialized, only those who can see the invisible can do the impossible. Sometimes, when you have a vision for your life, other people will not have that same vision, so they will pass on you. I'm looking to unleash these visions and ideas on the world, because the world is an empty canvas waiting on new thoughts to think.
A lot of us are going through a hard time in life. Some people have been bullied, some people are just stressed out, some people are insecure, some people are fat and overweight, and the world puts a lot of this shit in your mind. I had to develop a mindset that was indestructible. I had to armor plate my mind. And it's about what you're saying to yourself, but it also comes with work. So whenever I was getting beat down, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever I was going through, just saying, I would put, you can't hurt me. You can't hurt me just became a message. I would say to myself.
I'm training people to get into their greatness, to begin to develop the courage to pursue dreams beyond their comfort zones. Because in order to do something you've never done, you've got to become someone you've never been. When you're pursuing your greatness, you don't know what your limits are, so you act like you don't have any. And one of the reasons that Booker T. Washington said, judge a person not by what they accomplish, but what they had to overcome for their accomplishment.
You know what I think one of the best ways to crack ourselves open from the curse of self-obsession? I find that moments of radical and sudden empathy, radical and sudden compassion immediately dissipate all those gnawing thoughts of self-doubt and self-loathing and self-pity and just desire. They're obliterated by this immediate communion with another being.
I believe that most human beings are only living at about 40% of their capability. There's something about the mind. The mind has the tactical advantage over you at all times. At all times of your life, the mind has a tactical advantage over you. Why is that? It knows what you're afraid of. It knows your insecurities. It knows your deep, dark lies. And it starts to push you away from that shit. It pushes you in a direction that is comfortable. Your life's all about feelings.
We want the happy feeling. We don't want that feeling of this sucks. Why am I here? And you don't have any, so you can't answer those questions, so you leave. I started realizing that if in that moment you can answer those questions and you are now in charge of your brain versus your brain ruling you.
I tell people, you're going to face tough times. My favorite book says, think it not strange that you face the fiery furnaces of this world. But I affirm, no matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. Not willing to risk, you can't grow. And if you can't grow, you can't become your best. And if you can't become your best, you can't be happy.
Beliefs dictate your thoughts, dictate your emotions, dictate your actions, which produce your results. And your results, when you look at them, then just reinforce the original belief. And so we're caught in that construct, right? But the linchpin is the belief system. So the question is, how do I actually change what I believe? If my beliefs really do dictate my destiny, right? Which is, I'm not the only person suggesting that. The question becomes, how do I change my beliefs? And in that is an inherent challenge, because by definition, beliefs are that which are true.
Said collect ideas, not beliefs. If you collect ideas, right, it means that you're like, oh, that's interesting, and then that's interesting, and then this is interesting, and then that's also interesting. And some of these contradict each other, but it's okay, because I don't have to believe any of them. I can just entertain their feasibility and find them interesting, so I can collect all these different ideas. The problem with beliefs is that when you collect one belief, well, you knock offline any belief that contradicts that particular belief. And so if you get too stuck with your beliefs, you narrow your worldview.
If you know that at 40% I'm feeling pain, at 40% I'm feeling pain, that's where the 40% rule kicks in. Now it starts. Okay, I'm feeling pain. My mind's saying all this to me. It's saying get out of here, run, flee. The fight or flight kicks in. Okay, we're done. We're not good enough. It starts telling you all these things. You start to believe it because the mind controls all. This is the time where you have to gain control back in your mind. It's okay. Let me see if I can go 45%. And once you start giving yourself more and more hope and start realizing, okay, the mind starts to be, okay, what are you doing? We're supposed to be going right and you're going left. You start then controlling your mind.
I wish I had not waited 14 years. Somebody said if you want to lose something, lose money. You can get that back, but don't lose time. There were 14 years I sat on the sideline. 14 years I said, I don't have an investor in me like Tony Robbins. 14 years it said, I don't have an MBA or PhD, and I can't compete with these guys. I have the complexion of rejection. 14 years I silenced myself. And so I regret that, because there are some people that maybe if they'd heard my voice, their lives would have taken a different direction. And I can't get those 14 years back.
I kind of want to just trust, like, look, all the great things in my life have not happened when I was looking for them. All the great things in my life, all the success in my life always happened when I was in my zone, doing my art, doing my thing, and the right thing showed up, and all I did was seize it when it was there. When I get stuck thinking, planning, worrying about what's the next thing, I'm out of my flow. And it's when literally I'm not thinking about it, and I'm just trusting that the thing has showed up, and then I've seized it.
Often people don't know how to achieve something. And because they don't know how, they don't spend a lot of time getting additional clarity. They don't spend time imagining what the future would look like with that thing, or being that thing, or creating that thing, because they get stuck on the how. And what I would suggest is that if you're willing to invest time in getting clearer around something or imagining, you build neural networks that represent the memory of an experience that has not happened yet.
You have greatness in you. I don't know you, but here's what I know based upon my own experience. You have greatness in you, that you have the ability to do more than you could ever begin to imagine.
With that voice that a lot of us like to run away from, we all have it. We all have that voice that say, hey man, you know, you're kind of wimping out right now. Goggins is saying, okay, David Goggins, you're a punk. Life made you this way. We can't live like this. We can't live in fear. We can't live in judgment. We cannot be afraid of that. That's Goggins. Goggins saying, all of you who don't like me, who don't want it, and that person then comes in. But you have to be David Goggins and say, man, I'm afraid of this. I'm up here. Life made me this way here. You have to face that in that dark room. In that dark room is who you are. But in that dark room is where you have to create another human being that walks out of that dark room.
As you think about yourself, I'm reminded of the words of Howard Thurman, who said, there's a presence in each and every one of us that waits and listens to the voice of the genuine in yourself. It will be perhaps the only God you will ever have or hear. And if you cannot hear it all of your life, will it be spent on the ends of strings that somebody else pulls. When you recognize your greatness, no one will ever pull your strings.
You can either live your dreams or live your fears. What are the things that you fear that's been keeping you from living your dream, that's been keeping you from doing some things that you would like to do? You can either go back to your comfort zone, there you won't find any growth, or you must be willing to go forward and face your fears again and again. Acknowledge your fears, you embrace those fears, and then you move on.
Giving with expectation is a devastatingly bad idea that 99% of people do.
Tiny adjustments that have the most profound effect on people. And it's never too late to say, I'm enough, I can find love. And now if you give someone the power to make you feel good, you give them the power to make you feel bad. And if you do it to yourself, you feel so much better. It makes you slightly bulletproof. You still need other people, we all need other people. But the dialoguing with yourself and starting with I'm enough.
You see, strength, pain builds that. I know it might be hard for you to feel that, but even in your darkest storms, there's a plan for you to still shine bright. Please believe that. I know because God did it for me. God will allow you to go through places you don't understand, just to bring you to the place where He needs you to be. So don't let this season take your life. You can win this fight. If it wasn't for my darkest storms, I would have never found the strength to shine my light. There's a purpose greater than your pain. There's no growth without rain. Sometimes it takes your hardest storms to birth your greatest change. Your life is not finished. You keep living.
If you're creating a wonderful future and you feel the emotions of that future and you feel like you're connected to the energy of your future, the moment you get angry and frustrated, you just disconnected from the energy of your future, and now you're back to the energy of your past, and don't expect anything to change.
It doesn't matter what happened in your past, you're just a choice away from a new beginning. Your perspective can either be your power or your prison. So no matter what, appreciate your life and build your testimony with the test you were given. Listen, I get it. I know depression is real, but so is deliverance. You can heal from those afflictions, overcome those addictions. It's time to put a semicolon where you're trying to put a period because your sentence hasn't ended. You got more life to live, so don't give up. And forget anybody or anything that's ever tried to make you feel like you're not enough. You're enough. You're more than enough. So don't try to end your story just because this chapter sucks.
And if you understand the mind, it does what you tell it. That's its job. And if you tell it better stuff, you have an amazing life. And if you tell it mediocre stuff, you have a mediocre life. You have to talk to the mind and say, this is completely outdated. It's behind you. So people have a story. I can't be a success because I never went to university. I can't speak in public because I blush. And without understanding, when you describe why you can't, you keep it going. If you keep talking about the symptom, your mind keeps it alive because whatever you focus on, you get more of. It's then, this is now. And so they have outdated stories, outdated language.
Being insecure is a mindset. It was put into you for a million different reasons. Figuring out how to get out of that hole by who you surround with, how you think, what you do. Insecurity is the biggest poison in our lives.
We as humans, if we don't have purpose and if we're not serving, we begin to dig holes in our life and cause problems that weren't there, have anxiety and depression that shouldn't be there, right? And if you can make money, if you can focus on making money and then having some significance and meaning with that money, you've now developed service and purpose, and it turns out that's kind of coded into our DNA.
I tell people is that it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay that way. And so I have processes and things in place where my mindset has changed when I go through things where in the past I would be victim to those things. Now I look at it as like, how can this help me? How can this help other people? And I don't stay there.
When people come in and go, I want this, you have to look at the blocks. The number one block is the fear of rejection. If I make it, I might get rejected. If I find love, they might leave. If I make all that money, people won't like me anymore. So you've got to smash out of the ballpark the fear of rejection.
If a person's living by guilt and they don't know it's guilt because it just feels like they've been feeling that way every single day or suffering, and those emotions are driving their thoughts, and if they can't think greater than how they feel, and feelings and emotions are a record of the past or thinking in the past, now the past is going to be your future.
Reality. I tell people you gotta face it. That doesn't mean that you have to stay stuck there, but a lot of times we run from our reality, right? We try to smoke screen it, we try to hide from it, and we know reality will find you regardless. You can sweep it under the rug, but it'll still be there. And so one of the quotes that I like to use is, you'll never win your war by running from your battles. And so it's time to face your battles. It's gonna be hard, it's gonna be tough, you will be judged, but acceptance to me is one of the most powerful things you can do. Is you can accept, okay, this is where I'm at with my life, and also accept that I don't have to stay there.
As humans, aren't we top of the food chain? I think we are. As humans, we are top of the food chain, yet I was living well below my potential in so many categories, in love, in impact, in money, in self-growth, self-discipline, health. And so I was like, man, it's time to human up. And so to me, human up is something, it's not gender specific, it's just let's human up. Stop making excuses, take control of your situation, and rise to your potential.
I have definitely suffocated excuses better than a lot of people, which is really the biggest reason so many people who are listening right now are not winning. They are surrounded by people that are willing to accept their excuses on one very interesting insight. It's because those people don't give a. Your friends and your family are letting you get away with your excuses because they don't care. I weirdly don't know you and I care. And let me tell you how to fix this. Excuses out of your mouth.
Most people live by the same feelings every single day. You know, people wake up in the morning and your brain is a record of the past, so you wake up and you start thinking about your problems, and your problems are connected to certain people and things at certain times and places. The moment you start activating those circuits of memories related to your past experience in the environment you're thinking in the past, your thoughts are the vocabulary of your brain, your feelings are the vocabulary of your body. How you think and feel creates your state of being. So most people start their day, every single day, reaffirming their entire state of being in the familiar past. Then they rush to the predictable future, right?
You have to look at your life and say, you know what, if you want to be here and you're doing things that don't get you there, you have to make those changes. Now, if those things get you to where you want to go, cool. But for me in my life, those things weren't transitioning me into my greatest me, so I had to let it go.
Stop playing the victim. Stop running around acting as if you have nothing to do with the people, things, and situations in your life.
You know, digging up the negative seeds in your life and replacing those seeds with seeds of positivity. And so that means going back.
God put people in your life for a reason. Others are there for a season. And it's very important that you recognize when people's seasons are over.
If you want revenge for the bad things that have happened in your life, start with the version of you that hasn't lived up to your potential.
You have no f***ing idea how great you really are.
Because maybe I'm not good enough.
Your story may not have such a happy beginning.
It's not okay for you to be a weak loser.
But that doesn't make you who you are.
And the reason it's not okay is because you could be way more than that.
This life is not here to make you suffer.
Because you are using such minimal of what you have.
This life is here to make you understand what is your potential.
They say that true hell is when the person that you are meets the person you could have been.
It is the rest of your story, who you choose to be.
My philosophy is, why be normal when you can be the best?
And I learned the greatest gift of all. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent.
Play full f***ing out.
If you're going to try, go all the way.
You're not as far away from these dreams as you think you are.
Is that so many people die with untapped potential because they think that someone else is f***ing better than them.
All life forms strive to the max of its potential except human beings.
If you only do what you can do, you will never be more than you are now.
You got the makings of greatness in you, but you gotta take the helm and chart your own course.
We can be anyone. We can do anything. It's only a matter of going.
Never forget one time I was running by a graveyard, and I ran by a graveyard, and I looked out there, and I have all these epiphanies, man. I have all these moments of it's crazy, man, of just thought, because I'm always by myself, I'm always in deep thought about how to be better. And I look out there, I'm like, man, I wonder how many of you motherfuckers in there just are so upset with how you lived your life, regret how you lived it. And I'm running at 300-pound man thinking, man, don't fucking die like this, bro.
You know, there's one place that all the people with the greatest potential are gathered. One place, and that's the graveyard.
Everyone has the possibility to unlock something very, very special about him or herself. And it's up to your actions. Ultimately, it's you yourself who also is able to unlock it.
If you're going to try, go all the way. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, jobs, and maybe your mind. Go all the way.
Most of us don't use the stuff that we have brought into the universe. And we want to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to start living life with a sense of urgency and using what we've got. Using ourselves up. Sharing what we brought into the universe to share. Because if we don't, nobody else will. Stop wasting valuable time. Knowing that if we begin to live our lives as if each day were our last, our lives will take on a whole new meaning. Take on a whole new expression.
Like, I'm 54 years old right now. Like that. I mean, it just flew by. You think when you're young that you have all this time. You have no time.
And the other thing that's so interesting about being alive is that you're all in. No matter what you do, you're all in. this is going to kill you. So I think you might as well play the most magnificent game you can while you're waiting, because do you have anything better to do? Really? Why not pick the best thing possible that you could do?
You know, I don't have it, I can't do it. Our natural tendency is to sell ourselves short. Our natural tendency is to think of the reasons why we can't before we think of the reasons why we can. So the key to breaking ourselves out of the comfort zone and breaking ourselves loose of the shackle of helplessness is courage and confidence. We neutralize the antidote to fear and ignorance is desire and knowledge. And the more we learn about what we want to do and be and have, the more we believe that we can do it. The more we believe that we can do it, the more willing we are to try. And the more willing we are to try, the more likely it is we will succeed. What is the first part of triumph? The first part of triumph is to try.
It'll take time. It'll be a process. And sometimes you will have to convince yourself, right, that it's possible. And if you don't know how to change the way that you think, begin to digest new information and find those people that empower you. Find those people, elevate your spirit and your soul, and understand that your potential, my friend, is limitless. You, my friend, are limitless, but you must believe. And if you can believe, all things are possible.
That the reason that you are doing this alone is because you are on the path to greatness. You are on the path to achieving and obtaining everything that you've ever desired. It's going to feel so good at the end.
Isolation is the gift. All the others are a test of your endurance, or how much you really want to do it. And you'll do it, despite rejection and the worst odds, and it will be better than anything you can imagine. If you're going to try, go all the way. There's no other feeling like that. You'll be alone with the gods, and the nights will flame with fire. Do it. Do it. All the way. All the way. You will ride life straight to perfect laughter. It's the only good fight there is.
A lot of people are afraid to even try hard, because then if you try hard and you fail, you feel like a failure. The aspect of being a failure doesn't come from the success in the end. It comes from if you really quit on yourself, or if you don't put in the effort you know you can put in, and you're kind of holding back on your true potential.
The unfulfilled potential is the story of most people's lives.
If you make yourself more than just a man, if you devote yourself to an ideal, and if they can't stop you, then you become something else entirely. Legend, Mr. Wayne.
Far too many people abandon their path, and it's because they forget their why they chose this journey in the first place. Please don't let that be you.
Give a man a purpose and the ability to achieve it, and he will crawl over broken glass with a smile.
If you're cool with that, man, if you're cool with walking in the shadows of yourself, and you know the only person you got is the man right there in the shadow, man. How you doing? Pretty good. How you doing? All right, man. Cool. You know, if you're cool with that kind of walk of life, I'll tell you, man, the world is your playground.
I think the best way to prove your value is to work, is to learn, is to absorb, to be a sponge. Right? You always want to outwork your potential. You know, as hard as you believe you can work harder than that.
You have so much potential, and you have a gift. And the purpose that you were put here to fulfill, people out there, real people, are depending on. You will share many great memories. You will be confident and proud of the person that you've become. That's what this is for. That's what's on the line here. And that's what's waiting for you on the other side, my friend.
I tell all the people that I love, you gotta want the best out of your life for you, because we only have a moment on this earth. And it's going to be people that look you in the face and tell you that they believe in you. They're gonna tell you from their lips they believe in you. But when you look them in their eyes, you're gonna know that they're not telling the truth. That's the hardest thing for a man to take, because belief is what excels and pushes people through the stratosphere. And I can always tell people, I'm no bigger than you. What I tell people is the way you get to the next level of your life is keep going. Keep going, keep running. Even when you don't even know, even when it turns into chaos. You cannot be great if you cannot operate in chaos. That's my life. Because if you can operate in chaos, the world becomes Disneyland. Problems become scratches. Many people focus on the problem and not solutions. We spend a split second, 15, 20 minutes, tearing our body down, tearing our mind down over something that we can't control. Everybody talks about their faith, but do they really got faith? Do you got that halfway faith, or do you got that whole way faith? Real motivation comes from the pain. It comes from the bottom.
Building yourself begins with intention, clarity. You have to know who you want to become. You can't just show up in the gym of the mind and do random stuff any more than you can show up in the gym of the body and do random stuff and think that you're gonna end up on the stage competing for Mr. Olympia. Because until you know exactly in what way you are trying to serve people, you don't know what skills you need to acquire in order to leave people in awe so that you may become extraordinary. You have to push yourself long past the point of boredom. Boredom kills more people in the pursuit of success than any hater will ever kill. Boredom is the great killer of dreams. Boredom. Because people don't have the focus, they don't have the clarity of what they're trying to achieve. They have not built into their life an intoxication for what they're trying to accomplish.
Why is it so many people have big dreams, but such a small number of people ever make those dreams a reality? And for those that do make it a reality, what is it that gets them not only to follow through, but then to enjoy what they have? I don't know if you've ever had the experience of achieving something that you've always wanted, and then afterwards thinking to yourself, is this all there is? It's one of the worst feelings, It's almost worse than failing, because when you fail, at least you know, hey, I can still find a way to make it happen. But when you succeed and you're not happy, you're not fulfilled, then you got a real problem. There's two things that control everything in your life. Every thought, every feeling, every emotion, every action you have in your life. Your beliefs and your values. Whatever you believe, if you think life is just a waste of time, doesn't matter what you do, beliefs control us, but so do our values. Some people value making it happen. Some people value their family the most. Some people value love. But you know what the real challenge is? When we have values in conflict. When we have conflicts between what we want and what we think we can have, or you have a goal of what you really want to make happen, but then you have this other belief inside that says, this damn stuff never does work. But then there's a time in which people begin to question. They begin to look at their life and they begin to say, is this really what I want? Have you found yourself with that at any time? And then they do one of two things. They either recommit and they go for another 7 years and they take it to another level, or they make a strategic decision that shifts the direction of their life. Either way, your decisions control your destiny. And if you don't choose, that's a choice as well. Some people just kind of stay in the middle in that lukewarm place, not sure what they really want. Maybe the question to ask is, where do I want my life to be today? And where am I really going? What is my destiny? What's going to fill me up? What's going to give me the meaning for my life? That's going to give me joy in my life, not just achievement, but real enjoyment, a sense of meaning and aliveness.
Every human being on this earth has their own journey. And when you don't focus on yours, you will not bring the great gifts and things that you were supposed to bring to the world. Like the best gift comes from the bottom. Like only in the womb of a woman can a man breathe underwater. Like God leaves your gift at the bottom of the stairs, and it's up to you to climb up those stairs and get your gift.
You get to build yourself in any direction you want, in any way, to become anything you want. There will be an extraordinary price to pay, but you can go in any direction.
When I say you're immortal, you're not actually thinking you're immortal, but you're not conscious of your mortality. If you're not conscious of your mortality, somewhere you think you're immortal, isn't it? How many moments in a day are you conscious that you're mortal? If you just become conscious of this one thing, that always you're conscious that I'm mortal, just you know, one day I will die. If you're just conscious of this one thing, you will naturally become spiritual. Every day, every moment, if you remind yourself, this is a brief life, I'm mortal, one day I will end. That's all that's needed. If you want to know the value of life, just know that it's a brief happening.
I think people give up because they don't believe what they see. People don't believe the greatness that's in them. And the real reason is, most people never get out the stands and get in the game. They stay fans their whole life. So I tell everybody, get out the stands and get in the game. Get in the game of life and leave your mark here.